This video reviews ILP Part 1. The ILP process is broken down into 3 parts. Each part includes multiple sections. This video will cover all sections of ILP Part 1, which includes a triad summary meeting, identifying a student learning concern in the candidate's class, a pre-assessment of practice using the CSTPs, co-assessing a focused CSTP element that will promote teacher and student growth, and finally, identifying a specific teacher growth goal to achieve that growth. Be sure to read the directions and any examples on the ILP document carefully to assist you in completing the requirements. There are also a lot of resources in Canvas, including guide documents with more detailed directions, rubrics, and elementary, secondary, and special education examples that you can refer to, as well as the other resources listed on this slide. You will want to check Canvas for the specific due date of ILP Part 1. Section A is the triad summary. The mentor will help arrange a brief 20 to 30 minute meeting time with the candidate and site administrator to discuss the candidate's professional growth, the school goals for the year, and the resources available to support the candidate in working toward these goals. The mentor may also provide an overview of the induction program if needed. The goal of the triad meeting is to provide the candidate with a clear understanding of the school's focus and the administrator's perspective on professional growth needs and wants for a teacher at their site. The candidate will then consider this information as they develop their teacher growth goal for the year, which will be developed in a later section, Section E of ILP Part 1. After the meeting, the candidate will document a summary of the meeting in Section A of the ILP. Mentors should note the meeting on the mentor log. Look for the Triad Guidelines document in Canvas, which provides more specific information about this meeting. For Section B, the candidate will look closely at the needs of the students in their class. Candidates and mentors will analyze available data, such as assessment or mentor observation data, and work together to determine one student-focused learning concern for the year. While there may be multiple student learning concerns in a classroom, the candidate will focus on just one for the program to target for their teacher growth throughout the year. This should be a prevalent concern and one that is easily documented. Step 1 is to document the student-focused learning concern, and Step 2 is to provide current available evidence that supports this concern. These are color-coded on the slides to match the sections on the next slide. Step 1 is in orange and matches the orange section, and Step 2 is light blue and matches the information that goes in the light blue box. You can see that here in Step 1 and Step 2. An example of a student-focused learning concern could be reading comprehension, and the data to support this could be district benchmark results and a reading inventory. You will want to take a look at the guide to the Individual Learning Plan Part 1 in Canvas, as it provides many additional examples of learning concerns and supporting data. The mentor and candidate may want to create a class profile to organize all the information reviewed in this process. A link to resources for building an optional class profile is in the ILP document and can also be found in Canvas. In Section C, the candidate will establish a baseline of their current teaching practice based on the CSTPs. The mentor and candidate will complete the pre-assessment of teacher practice using the CSTP continuum provided on the template. This continuum includes the 6 CSTPs here on the left-hand side and a description of teacher practice at 4 levels from emerging to integration for each CSTP across the top. The transition document the candidates have from their pre-service program is an important piece to this process. Mentors should ask for this document so they're able to review it. The mentor and candidate will review the language in the chart for each standard and the continuum levels. Then they will discuss what the candidate's current level of practice looks like. Next, they will determine where to place the candidate on the continuum based on the description. The candidate will highlight that section of the continuum and then provide a brief 1 or 2 sentence description of the conversation in the far right column where it says description of practice. Bullet points can also be used. Be sure to complete this process for all 6 of these standards listed. After completing Section C, the mentor and candidate will determine the specific standard and element of the 6 possible CSTPs that will be the candidate's focus for this program year. The element should allow the candidate to grow in their practice and address the student-focused learning concern. For example, if the student-focused learning concern is reading comprehension, the candidate may choose element 1.4 using a variety of instructional strategies, resources, and technology to meet students' diverse learning needs. You can find a link to the specific elements for each CSTP on the ILP document. This is what that document looks like. It shows each standard listed, and then these are the specific elements within each of those standards. There are other things a candidate may want to consider when selecting a specific CSTP focus element. This includes the triad meeting and any site administrator feedback that was provided, the current teaching assignment of the candidate and the context, the CSTP pre-assessment results, the candidate's transition plan from their pre-service program, and any additional requirements the candidate is working on for credentialing purposes. This may include Education Specialist Level 1 additional coursework, EL authorization, remaining TPA or RECA testing requirements, etc. Once a specific element has been selected, you will list the element number and language in Step 1 in the orange box noted in these slides. Mentors and candidates will then complete a fall co-assessment for the specific element selected, and the candidate should record the date of this meeting on the ILP in Section D. An example of the co-assessment process is if CSTP 2.3 is selected, the mentor and candidate will use the CSTP continuum document linked on this section of the template to locate CSTP 2.3 and then co-assess using the levels of practice as done in the pre-assessment activity in Section C. The mentor and candidate will determine placement on the continuum based on the selected artifact or evidence for the element. Record the level by selecting the level of practice on the ILP template. Next, review the language and identify evidence of the candidate's teaching practice for this element. Describe the evidence in the far right-hand box in this section on the ILP template. The candidate and mentor will work together to create a year-long teacher growth goal for Section E that aligns with the student-focused learning concern. The first step is to use the results from the fall co-assessment to help guide the candidate in the process of creating a goal to show growth in this area of practice. It is helpful to review the language one level above where the candidate placed, as this will help in demonstrating growth. An example is if the learning concern is reading comprehension and the element 1.4 was chosen, which is using a variety of instructional strategies, resources, and technologies to meet students' diverse learning needs. The candidate might want to investigate how specific reading strategies might affect their students' reading comprehension levels. They may choose to attend a series of webinars on various strategies and then use these strategies or tools that they learned with their class. While using these new strategies, the candidate will gather new data on the students' reading comprehension levels. To create the goal statement, use the prompts and sentence frame to develop a goal statement. To complete Part A, which is shown in orange on the slides, think what teacher outcome would be associated with your anticipated growth. For Part B, which is highlighted in light blue, consider how teacher growth will impact the identified student-focused learning concern. The candidate will then plug in their responses to the goal statement sentence frame. Candidates should read the goal statement and make sure the goal makes sense in context, is aligned to the student learning concern, and follows co-assessment results, and of course that it's achievable over the program year. This is intended to be a big, broad goal. The candidate will then complete two more steps in this section, which will include anticipating the type of observable teacher evidence they might have to demonstrate growth and anticipating the type of observable student evidence they might have once the goal is accomplished. For the reading comprehension example, the anticipated observable teacher evidence may be three new strategies in the area of reading and lesson plans documenting their usage. The anticipated observable student evidence may be increased weekly reading comprehension assessment scores and accelerated reader scores. As a reminder, be sure to check out all the available resources in Canvas, especially the guide documents, rubrics, and samples. It is helpful to review your ILP document with your mentor while using the rubric to be sure you've met all requirements. Both candidates and mentors have multiple resources to assist you in the ILP journey. So please check Canvas and reach out to your mentor or lead mentor with any additional questions you may have about ILP Part 1. Once all sections of ILP Part 1 have been completed, candidates will then upload the individual learning plan template on Canvas for review and feedback. Once the feedback is received, candidates may begin working towards their goal and may begin the next part of the ILP Part 2. Remember, this is a living document, and changes can be made to the document throughout the year as new learning occurs and priorities shift. Just be sure to document any changes. If a significant change needs to be made to Part 1 after it has been approved, please have a conversation with your mentor and lead mentor to ensure success.